Hello everyone. Today I will show you how we monitor our services and our hardware in our data centers. Now, for that I will use a waylay platform. So from one whale application I will monitor the other one. In this example I will monitor the demo platform, which is on a demo subdomain in waylay.io, and the one that will be used to monitor that one will be the application.waylay.io. Now, before I start with that, let me just introduce one more component in our system that will be managed by the Mongo Lab. And this is a list of our people who run this, who are actually in the support. And what you'll find there, it's when they're available, which day in a week, like myself, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and as well the email address of that person. Because when the alarm comes, I would like to actually uh, at that moment inform the right person for that. Now, what I will do now, I will use the sensor that can actually fetch information from the database, and depending on the day in a week, basically give me who is the person in the support. So it will give me back the user as well the email address, and of course it matches the data I have entered that I am available for Sunday. That's probably going to be Pete. And let's test that. Yes, that will be him, so he's available during the weekend, and that is his mail address. Now, if you see how I've done that, well, basically I have just went to the Mongo Labs here straightly, and the only condition I had was to actually take a day in a week and then provide it as a condition to fetch the right person. And this is the piece of the code that you can see here. And if I find the person, I will simply take his observed state back found, and as a raw data I will basically push back the item which was found from the database. Now, to find the right day in a week, I use the getRawData call to fetch the state of the node which will provide me the day in a week. Now you may argue, could I just as well write a JavaScript here? Yes, I could, because there is obviously a call that gives me this information, but typically these are the magic numbers, and I hate to propagate these magic numbers back into the database. So what I'm going to use then instead, I will use a small sensor which can give me the week in a day, basically in a format which I prefer to use. And if I test that, sorry, I will get back as a result that I'm in Wednesday. And if you're really interested in how this has been implemented, well, basically this is where these magic numbers get back translated into the days. Now, next to the support personnel, we have some obviously service sensors that will actually monitor the health of the system. So we use the REST calls to ping our own servers through the REST calls. So here we have an API call to test that. So if I provide here something like demo.waylay.io, here we go, I will find back that that system is alive, and this was the response time of that server. Now notice again that I have entered here the address because it was part of the properties, but if that is not present, I will go back and try to find it in the resource of the task. This is the trick that I often use, because once I create a template, I like to provide these input arguments at the moment I start the template. Okay, this was about the sensors. Let me just quickly show you some of the actuators. So here I will be mostly using the Zendesk actuator. Now this actuator, it's going to create an entry point in a Zendesk. And if I put here something like hello world, it should create an entry in the Zendesk that will be not that helpful, but okay, that's how we can test as well that each of the actuators is working. And if I go back here, I see that I will be taking the global settings for the Zendesk user in the key, and that I will use the subject, and I will use the evaluate data call to get the message into the ticket, meaning that I can cherry pick some information from another nodes and provide them as a comment into the system. Now, one of the things that I didn't talk about are the real hardware resources like a CPU, free memory, and other things. And this is something that typically you can use as SNMP agents or similar things and from the server try to fetch it. But in Waylay platform we provide both push and pull mode, so I would rather have machines pushing this information to me because okay, it's more secure and it's more controllable. So let me go back here. I have terminal running in which I can actually go back into the demo machine. And I wrote one small script which is actually doing nothing but fetching the memory stats, swap, disk space, and the CPU usage, and then pushing through one REST call. This is this back to the waylay platform. And notice that I'm using as a resource the identifier of the machine, which is here demo.waylay.io, and I am also giving a domain in which I would like this information to be propagated. More about that will be in some other calls, in some other use cases that will be more specific about the data bridge. You can think of it as a kind of a zero bridge which allows you to proxy information versus at the same time to store information into the cloud. Okay, now that we have went through the sensors and actuators, let's focus now on the actual use case. And what you see here is that I have my sensor that will actually do the ping towards the applications for the REST calls. I will do the same over the HTTP just to see whether the website is still available. I have my weekday sensor which will give me back information in which state I am right now. Like I said, I will be, and I am basically Wednesday, meaning that I will find myself here for the database record, and as I am available now for the support, in case that machine goes down and I am available, it will send me alert saying that that machine is down. At the same time, it will create the Zendesk alert ticket. I will also do the delta between the ping times of the REST calls and the typical HTTP calls. I will also try to do the trend analysis by comparing the current time against the average of the 5 last samples of the ping to see whether there is some problem there. I will check the CPU usage, free disk space, and if that it's below 10 gig, I will simply then create a Zendesk ticket to remind myself I have to add a disk. This is something that I will do only once because it's something that can wait for some time. I don't need to get at 2 o'clock in the morning to fix that. I will also check some free memory, how that behaves. I will take the delta between the previous and the current measurement. This way, for instance, you can even do the first derivatives and other things in your formal calculations. I will also monitor for the performance problems, and for that I will check whether the memory is um, dropping against the average one for more than 100 megs at the time, and similarly I will check for the trend of the CPU. And if that happens, I will create a ticket with the detailed information about the CPU usage and other things, like a small snapshot in time, and as well I will create a mail myself. Now, if for one or the other reason the DevOps guys is not available, well, then I will get an SMS message saying that, okay, there is an issue, the server is down and there is nobody who can pick up and fix the stuff, so I'm just going to get SMS to myself. Okay, and so let's try to run this sensor. I will here in the resources provide the machine that I'm going to monitor. I will do that every 5 seconds, and I will start it here. Now, let me put it into the raw data mode, and you see immediately that I'm pushing information from the data center into this system, and I'm already computing the free disk, which is about 10 gig, and I see that servers is up and running, and that I am actually available but there is no alarm and there is nothing to be treated in this moment in time. Now, the fact that this is a demo machine allows me to actually kill it right now. So let's kill now the inference engine, meaning that you see immediately that the system is not alive, and this will immediately trigger the alert, and I am going to get email. So alright, so here is email sent to myself because I'm the guy who is on the call, and at this moment in time we have created the Zendesk alert ticket into the system. Okay, so that was okay, and let me just do one more thing just for the fun. Let me actually make myself not available, and let's see what happens then. So here we go again. I am not available, so nobody will be available at this moment in time to give us support. And it's Wednesday, so we see now that nobody is there. Now the funny thing is that Watchdog has kicked in and the system is alive again, so there is no issue. Now, rather than killing the machine again, I'm not gonna test my luck. There is one debug mode feature which can always help you. It's that you say, I'm going to announce the system not being okay. This is very handy when you do some debugging. So I will overrule the state that comes from the measurement. And now, if you have heard my phone actually vibrating.
New message from 324602000035. Issue a new OPS available.
Alright, so that was my drive safe mode, which actually read my SMS for myself, because here we had an issue and nobody was available, so I had an SMS sent to myself. Okay, so that was that machine, but of course we can as well now try some other machines, and again we have some watchdogs running. So let's start it again. That will be a demo one machine which has HutchMeyer capacity, and again there is no DevOps guy because I just actually moved myself, but then again there is no issue with this machine. And what we can see here is that the trend and all other things look pretty well. Let's check here whether we have some. All right, so here is the ticket that we created, that the server was down, and that was okay. There was one hello test ticket that I created just to test the actuator before this. Okay, now that this is the template that we're okay with, let me just start this template in the cloud. So I will create now a demo monitoring. So task, it will be on every 5 seconds, and I need to indeed provide here the proper resource to start this guy. Now from then onwards this task will be deployed in the cloud, and I don't have to keep it anymore in debug mode. Now it is available and it will inform myself now if something goes wrong, and tomorrow that will be someone else. If I check it here as what are the tasks which are running, I find one that is actually monitoring my application now in the cloud. I can always go back and see what was actually this template and start all over again. But now that I have this template, let me now start it for some other machines that we have there. So let me go back to the DevOps and let me show you how else we can start this task. Now we have settings that are taken over from the template and we're not going to change them. But this is where I mentioned the trick before, that I didn't want to, for instance, here provide the address of the machine. I would rather like to define it at the moment I deploy the task in the cloud. So if I do here something like demo 1, that will be a new, okay, that will be a new task, that it started to monitor our next machine, and again it just goes into the cloud, and here we go again. This is now going to monitor our application demo.1. Okay, so this was a small demo about how in Waylay we monitor the Waylay instances using our application. You've seen how we can combine information from the databases with information from the API to get REST calls, and as well a small example of how you can push the data towards the platform and put it all together into the template and instantiate it differently for different instances. Okay, that was it for today. Thank you very much, and till next time. Bye bye.